Welcome to Sailing El Jaleo. I am a mid-40-year-old who in my early 40s became disillusioned with modern society and all of its promises and pitfalls. Feeling that life was getting a little too boring, I decided to do the logical thing, which is to buy a 40-year-old sailboat and spend the next 3 or 4 years converting it into a long-range, off-grid sailing vessel. Or it might have just been a midlife crisis, who knows. From there, I enlisted the help of my trusty crew, and we've been spending the last 3 years going up and down the east coast of the United States, learning how to sail, learning how to read charts, how to navigate, how to read tides, and basically just how to survive on a sailboat. From here, we plan on spending one more summer up north, doing one last round of upgrades before finally escaping the United States in late 2024 or early 2025. These are our adventures. Feel free to come along if you'd like. Last week we left off in Jekyll Island, Georgia, where we repaired our leaky stuffing box, and unlike last week, this week I'm not going to make any false promises as to how far we will get. And just like last week, I wasn't smart enough to look ahead at the footage, so I'm not exactly sure how far we'll get, but I know we'll get to Florida at least. You okay, Princess? We dinghied over to a beach earlier, and she did a header off the front of the dinghy, and it was the water was a little deeper than she was anticipating. It was pretty funny. About 5 seconds of sheer terror in her eyes. It was, I think, a learning experience for her. Wasn't it, Princess? Yes, it was. It was a good learning experience. I know. All right, let's go ahead and get right into it. Grab a drink, climb aboard, and let's get going. After confirming that the Jekyll Harbor Marina had received their truckload of diesel, we headed over and filled up on fuel and water before making our final push into Florida. We just had to cross St. Andrew Sound and go behind Cumberland Island. Since the stuffing box had just been repaired and adjusted, I didn't want to go too far and not knowing what the temperature differential would be yet, and I couldn't really check it while I was motoring, being a single-hander. So I didn't want to go too far, so we just went halfway around Cumberland Island and we anchored for one last time in Georgia. And unfortunately, it does take around an hour to get fully loaded with fuel and water. This day we took on 50 gallons of diesel fuel and 150 gallons of water, so that added around 1,700 pounds of weight to the boat, so she reacts quite a bit differently after a full load of fuel and water. After spending 3 or 4 days anchored behind Jekyll Island, it was nice to get back on the road again. We did spend 3 or 4 days there. We had 1 day of high wind, 1 day of rain, and we spent an extra day waiting for diesel to arrive at Jekyll Harbor Marina. And it was nice to get back on the road again, and the timing worked out good. It was a nice, calm day. St. Andrew Sound has a big shoal or spit or sandbar. I actually don't even know the difference between the three. They all mean the same thing to me, and that's that you're going to hit shit, so don't go there. So there are 2 ways. You can either go behind the shoal, or you can go out and dip your toe into the Atlantic and then whip a quick shitty and come back in to St. Andrew Sound, and that's what we did. It's a shorter route, and it was a calm day, so why not go out and stare into the abyss for a little bit. As we went around the backside of Cumberland Island, we always keep our eyes peeled for horses. There are actually wild horses on Cumberland Island, which are really cool to see, and unfortunately we didn't get to see any this time. This year we decided to try a different anchorage, and this year I've been kind of branching out a little bit and trying some different anchorages that look like they're a little more off the beaten path, maybe have a little better protection. In the past, I would always choose the easiest anchorage, and I think that was a part of my flawed mentality. I don't know if it was a function of the programming that you receive in the working world, or if it was just a fatal flaw in my personality. It's probably the latter. But I've always had this mentality of, if you have a task to do, you get up early, you get it done, and then you have the rest of the time to yourself. And that's the most important thing. And for the first 3.5 years, or 3 years of this whole boating thing, I've always kind of maintained that same mentality. Okay, we've got a task to do. We need to get this many miles. Let's get this shit done so we can relax the rest of the day. And I can finally say, thankfully, I'm breaking out of that mold. It only took 3 years. So I'm sleeping in a little bit more in the morning. We're willing to go out of the way a little bit more to find better anchorages or more comfortable anchorages, and I think I'm actually starting to relax a little bit. I think maybe that's just what it boils down to. I don't know. I've always been wound up pretty tight. I don't know if you know me at all. Maybe that's, it's so hard to judge yourself. I think other people are maybe the most honest judge of who a person really is, because they don't have the internal bias. Obviously I'm very biased about who I think I am, and who I think I am is probably not at all who I really am. I don't know. It's weird. I don't even know what the hell I'm talking about. But we went back into Brick Hill River here. This was to avoid a commercial shellfish area in Georgia. So we did go back into Brick Hill River. It was absolutely wonderful. There's a stand of trees to the east. It's nicely protected from east winds, and it's just a beautiful place. So this year we've kind of gone off the beaten path a little bit more, and I'm starting to learn that this thing isn't a race. It's not a daily task like my entire life had been up until this point. It's more than a daily task. I don't know. This is just life, and I don't know. Maybe I'm lightening up a little bit. After leaving Brick Hill Creek the next morning, we continued our way around Cumberland Island, and it's always exciting to go by Kings Bay Submarine Base. There they house nuclear submarines and Trident missiles, which are how do you say it? Intercontinental ballistic nuclear missiles? Thermonuclear missiles at that. So it's always exciting to go by there and check it out. Unfortunately, we didn't see any subs this time. Usually we see one there, but this time they didn't have any out. None were visible. So it's always fun to see a sub, but maybe we'll see one when we head north in the spring. As we rounded the southern tip of Cumberland Island, we crossed the St. Mary's Inlet, and there, waiting on the beach, was Fort Clinch. And the first time we came through here last year in the spring, and then when we went back in the fall, I didn't even notice this fort. It's sitting right there on the beach. How in the heck did I miss that twice? I don't know. But it's pretty neat, so I took a couple of photos this time going by. And from there, we just continued about a mile up to, I don't know the name of the river. I don't think it's St. Mary's. No, it's definitely not. But it's a river right there that connects to St. Mary's, and it goes up to Fernandina Beach. And that's where we anchored and got stuck for a couple of weeks. And as we're coming into Fernandina Beach there, you can see there are a couple of processing plants along the shore, and those are pulp processing plants. I believe they take everything from raw wood and they finish it right up to finished products at either 2 or 3 different plants. I'm not entirely sure. I don't really have anything to do with them, obviously, but that's just from observing. And they do have a particular odor to them. The pulp processing, I don't know if these terms are right, but where they process the raw wood into like sawdust or wood chips or whatever it is, that smells wonderful. It smells like fresh pine or, fresh cut wood. That's good. The final product processing plant just down the line doesn't smell so great. So depending upon which way the wind is blowing, your anchorage can kind of smell like urinal cake from time to time. And hey, I've got no problem with industry at all. It's wonderful. I was a chemical engineer in my previous life through training, and I worked in the chemical industry for 10 or 12 years. And I think oil refineries are some of the most beautiful things on the face of the earth, which I probably am alone in thinking that. I just drive by and think of all the separation processes that are going on in there, and I get kind of excited. So I'm a dork that way, but yeah. So we pulled into Fernandina Beach and we anchored in I don't remember the name of the creek. Dagnabbit. I'll have to look that up. I'll put it on the screen. And that's all we have time for this week. I would love to give a massive shout out to my Patreon crew. Without your guys' support, I would not make these videos. And my Patreon crew is Joan and Juddy Judnick, Val and Chris Alcorn, Denise and Eli Sackett, Sherry Erickson, Deb Shaw, Matthew Spotten, and Peter Allen. Thank you guys so much for your support. It really means the world to me. And I do have one legacy patron member. Her name is Joan Lindbow. Unfortunately, she has passed on, but she lives on in our hearts forever. We miss you, Joan. If you are interested in joining our Patreon crew, there is a link in the description down below. That'll take you to our Patreon page where you can sign up, and that'll give you access to hundreds of behind-the-scenes photos and videos and real-time updates, let you know where we're at and what's going on. And you would help support the channel, which would be awesome. If you do like our videos, please like, comment, and subscribe. That helps us out more than you'll ever know. Alrighty, I hope you all are well, and we'll see you next week.